The speaker today is Mrs. Olajumoke Omojuwa, who happens to be a chartered accountant, is the managing director and CEO of Pathlead Consulting, Pathlead Finance Limited, and also the MD and CEO of Pathlead Homes and Properties Limited. Is the director of Rock Shield Microfinance Bank and is the convener of Oluwadamilola Global Impact. Ladies and gentlemen, we would like to welcome Ms. Olajumoke Omojuwa, who happens to also be a member of the Business School Netherlands community. Welcome, ma'am.
Good morning, sir.
To support, thank you. To support Mrs. Omojuwa is another woman of substance, human resource business partner, specifically in charge of project manager who is driving innovation and growth in Nigeria workforce and creative industry. Is a development finance expert and works for Bank of Industry. Also a member of the Business School Netherlands community. Ladies and gentlemen, it's an honor to also introduce Mrs. Esther Kuponiyi. You are welcome, ma'am. You are muted, okay? So we take off.
Yes,
thank you. We take off immediately by asking Mrs. Olajumoke Omojuwa to please start our presentation, which is centered around leading organizational change for sustainability goals. This is episode 71. Thank you. Over to you.
Good morning, Prof. Good morning, everybody on calls today. I'm so happy to be here, and I know that we are in for something big and transformational, and I want to believe that this is rather a call to action, I will say, and I know for sure that we're going to take home something in our various capacity to our various organizations so that we can actually make the huge change we want to see in the world, in the name of Jesus. Okay, permit me to do that because of the space I'm coming from. Okay, so today's topic is leading organizational change for sustainability goals. And I want to let us know that this is a topic that concerns every one of us. Though we are looking at it from the organizational point of view, but I believe that every one of us, we all dwell in an environment, and we know what is happening presently in our various environments. So I just dive into what leadership is all about. As you can see, leadership is at the aim of affairs of any organization, and it is important that the leaders have a vision, and they need to, communicate the vision to the team, subordinates, and members, other members of management of the organization. And you see that oftentimes when you see this kind of issue come up, we see that it's often driven by the leadership style of the organization, and mostly organizational culture, which you already know that, like we are Prof. often say, and we have gotten from him, that culture will often eat strategy for breakfast. So culture will always prevail in any situation. And it is important now that organizations begin to look beyond the profit and begin to, pay attention to the people and the planet. So we have the 4 pillars of leadership as indicated, already spelled out by Prof, which is the responsible leadership, change leadership, decision-making leadership, and performance leadership. So we're going to dwell on change leadership, and everything here, relates to the responsibility, the change, the decision-making, performance relates to the topic of today. So we see that, like I said earlier, that most times what happens in an organization, and for an organization to actually effect a change, will depend on the style of leadership and the culture. So we have here the autocratic style of leadership, democratic, laissez-faire, and transformational. So I'm going to focus mainly on the democratic and the transformational, because that is what is going to drive the change in any organization. If you have an autocratic leader, you will see that oftentimes there is no buy-in from the staff, from the team for any vision, or if there is any change that is required. But you have a democratic one, then you can sound the team, the staff, the employees, sound them out on various inputs of theirs as well. And the transformation is the person who is interested not just in the growth of the organization, but in the growth of the people, and most importantly, their well-being and their development as well. So for any organization change to happen, it will depend mainly on the style of leadership and the culture of the organization. As we all know, change is constant and change is inevitable. Whether you like it or not, it will happen. So it is what you do with the change that matters. So you might your organization might react to change, your organization might respond to change, and your organization might decide to be the one that will create the change. So it all depends on the way your outlook, the outlook of the general management of the organization or the general leadership of the organization. So it is important in this day and age that even if you cannot, create the change, please don't react to change. So let's respond to change and ensure that we evolve with whatever comes. So our organization cannot be static right now. And we know that this day and age, we need to keep evolving, bearing in mind the constant change in technology, constant changing. So many things and a lot of, unprecedented happenings around the world and things like that. So the leadership must always ensure that there is a need to revisit the policy of the organization, revisit the policy and ensure that it is constantly, reviewed to implement, to reflect what is expected in the larger society, and to constantly ensure that the organization remain relevant and sustainable. So we know that right now, the sustainability of any organization is not dependent only on profits. It's dependent also on the people driving the vision with the management and the people and the planet. The planet now, we're talking about the general outlook, as in the people, the environment, the galaxy, everything you want to look at. So before a change can actually become a reality in any organization, you will see that oftentimes you need to have a buy-in from the people or from stakeholders. And we know that oftentimes people resist change. Even people in your team, resist, because a lot of us, we settle down in our comfort zone and we believe that things can only forge ahead like that. But we need to, like I said, you can actually create the change, and that will actually give you a better perspective and give you an edge over others. So I refer to this as, I want to share with us today that we can actually use this John Cotter's 8-step change model to effect any change in our organization effectively. And this, I would like to reference his book on our iceberg is melting. It's actually a fantastic book that I'm going to recommend to every leader on this call this morning. I want us to go back, take up the book if you've not read it or you've not actually come across it before. Go back and see how we can actually effect a change. The book is actually centered around a colony of penguin, living on the Antarctic, and the iceberg was actually melting. It took one person to observe the iceberg was melting. He had to communicate it to somebody who he believes that has influence and decision-making capacity over the colony. He shared it with a lady, let me say, Halley's Penguin, and from there they were able to form a team of people who were going to take up the action, take up the responsibility to effect, look further into the iceberg that is melting to see what can be done and how they can actually salvage the situation. So this 8-step change model is quite effective. You can actually put it into practice in the organization, and it shows the definition, the implementation stage, the secure stage, and all of the things, information are there. I would like to run because of time. So sustainability now, because like I said earlier, that it is not just about your profit now. It's about bearing in mind that the people are working with you and they stay in an environment. If you don't make the environment habitable, there's going to be chaos at the end of the day, because it is from the environment you operate from. And we have the responsibility to preserve the environment. And this is a call that we all have to stand up to actually take up, because we can see the damage that has been caused, done onto our planet right now, and we don't want to just put our hands and just watch and see everything deteriorate. So sustainability simplified in layman's or in the way it has always been communicated is meeting the needs of the present without compromising the ability of future generations to meet their own needs. Invariably, what this is saying is that for every organization, for any system whatsoever, it is important that we are responsible enough to ensure that we don't jeopardize the benefit or the opportunity that others might actually derive from this planet. So we can see that there's a lot of green, a lot of damage being done, in this part of the world. I'm speaking to a global platform, but in the part of Africa where I come from, especially in Nigeria, and going back to the south of Nigeria, we see a lot of damage that have been done to the environment. But I know that there's a cleanup arrangement being made with companies and the government, and I want to believe that that is being effected and there is sincerity in whatever they're doing. So that we know that after our organization, some organizations still need to come up, and we cannot jeopardize the interest of our future generation, our children. So sustainability is viewed as being a matter of survival for your business. I believe you can create massive change. This is a quote by Cameron Finkel, and this is a quote by Bill Gates. Sustainability lies at the intersection of innovation and responsibility. So it's not just enough to be creative, not just enough to be able to innovate and bring up fantastic products, be able to bring up fantastic services that you want to offer to the community or to the public or the world at large. It is important that you marry it with a lot of responsibility, knowing fully well that there will be a demand that will be made on our organization with time. Okay, let me skip this. So sustainability goals in business. Sustainability goals in business refer to company strategy and action to reduce adverse environmental and social impact resulting from business operation in a particular market. So as we're going to go further, looking at the SDG, the Sustainable Development Goals. We have 17 goals in all. We will see that you cannot actually be concerned with all, but it all depends on the market and the space in which you operate from. So an organizational sustainability practice are typically analyzed against ESG, which is primarily environmental concern, social concern, and governance concern matrix. And the governance we're looking at here, we're talking about the ethics on the board of companies, institutions, and everything, so that we know that we have a responsibility right from the top to be cascaded down to the least person or in our organization. So sustainability goals, sustainable development goals. Okay, this goal was actually, came about in September year 2015, and the UN, came up with this to ensure that we have a lot of, goals are stated in the plan, ensure that it is actually achieved by the year 2030. And we know that we are in year 2025 right now, so we have 5 years to make this dream become a reality. So it was actually signed by 193 countries of the UN, and it's surprising that all the country member of UN actually signed to it, which is a fantastic development. But from 2015 till now, we have seen that a lot of things still need to be done. And I want to believe that 5 years, miracle can still happen. So the aim of these goals is actually for peace and prosperity for people on the planet. So we have the SDG broken down into 3 compartments. I will go there later. So we have 169 targets and 232 indicators for monitoring and reviewing. The monitoring and reviewing is, I want to believe, it's what the challenge is right now. So we go to the stakeholders for these SDGs, and we see that it's actually the government, the businesses, and the civil society. So how do we come in here? As businesses, we see that we have a major role to play because we have interaction with the people as well and the planet. So we've got to ensure that every policy we are formulating, every strategy we want to embark upon or want to take up for our organization are actually geared towards ensuring that all these sustainability goals are achieved. So you have there on the screen the 17 goals as stated by the UN. And I want to believe that we are familiar with this because I believe, like I said, the monitoring and the review, I want to believe that a lot of companies, especially the large companies and global conglomerates and international bodies and companies are actually aware of this. I know that from the point of the businesses, some businesses might actually be complaining about the costs to cover all this, their responsibility in terms of the SDG. But we need to know that these are actually achievable, and we have to find our space in this. From the financial space I operate in, I want to say that what is mainly our own concern is goal number 1, which is no poverty, by creating an inclusive environment as per financial inclusion for people who are less privileged, micro lending, so that it can actually help them in or help people eradicate poverty by the time you give out micro loans, and ensure we monitor their progress with their development and everything. Another one is innovation and technology. We can see that the banking space has actually taken a new turn. Microfinance banks do not operate like traditional bank anymore. We are leveraging technology to actually project and ensure that everybody is included. So we have the clean energy and the gender equality, gender equality in the terms of our policy in our organization is to ensure that there's no discrimination. As far as you are qualified and you can deliver on what is expected, you are on board. So I want to say thank you for the opportunity. There are other slides that are there, and if you so desire, please reach out, you will get it. I want to say thank you, and we see the progress so far. It's only 70% of the millennium goal that has been achieved by the 2024 reports I got from the public space, and 70% only has been achieved. So there's a big, huge work to be done. So we see the disruption, all the things that actually cause the delay in progress. And I want to believe that we can actually make a change in our various capacity and ensure that we get this done. thank you very much for this opportunity to have presented, and I want to believe we've been impacted. Thank you, Prof.
Thank you so much, Mr. Omojuwa. We now ask Mrs. Kuponiyi to please reflect within 5 minutes strictly. 5 minutes.
Yeah. Prof, you want us to reflect such a rich presentation within 5 minutes. Thank you so much.
Yeah, that is the tradition.
Thank you so much, Mr. Omojuwa. Once again, I think one key thing that I have taken out of this is that organizational change births sustainability, and each of us have a responsibility to innovate responsibly. You know, organizational change is no longer optional. It's either you move, you change, you innovate, or you die. And we have so many examples of companies that have chosen to innovate and are still in business and leading the forefront globally. While we also have examples of companies like Nokia, you know, that refused to innovate, that refused to change. Even we have examples of BlackBerry, different companies that had potentials to do better but refused to do so because they felt, oh, the world was going to wait for them. We live in a fast-paced world, and we live in a world that is gradually innovating and changing. So even as we want to keep up, even as we want to be proactive and respond to change, we have a responsibility to do so in lines with the global set standards. And I really love what Mr. Omojuwa also pointed out, the SDGs, we have ISOs, even our ESGs all come together to make sure that while we change, we do that in a way that is sustainable and also sets the pace for the future. In the organization I work in, I remember we've moved now to an impact-facing business model whereby everything we do, every project we approve, every decision we make, we ensure that it has an impact facing background. Omojuwa also touched on that. When you look at gender, you look at youth and skills, digital economy, SMEs, infrastructure, climate, very key. Climate and the green world is so key in making sure that our organizations change and align with what is happening. I'm just going to end with saying that and ask us a few questions that we all, this may seem like, oh, it's far-fetched, but each and every one of us present here in this room, we are change makers, responsible change makers, and also sustainability champions. And I know that there are big barriers to sustainability because we feel that sometimes by changing, we lose some things. But it's just like a butterfly is learning how to grow and come out of its shell. There would always be a positive impact for us, for our organizations, and also for the world at large. And so I'm just going to end my reflection with these quotes, which I want us to think and ponder on. The first one says that change is a law of life, and those who look only to the past or the present are certain to miss the future. And sustainability is not business as usual and is no longer about, oh, maybe my company is not doing so much harm. It's about doing good, and sustainability is the key to our future if we must remain relevant. Thank you.
Thank you so much for a very wonderful reflection. We're now going to Q&A session, and we would like to take questions. You can put your questions in the chat room on the Q&A, and I will read them out for the speaker as well as the reflector to provide the answer. We would like to, but my first question is to ask each and every one of them to please just provide some basic, in moving forward, considering today's topics on leading organizational change for sustainable goals. Mr. Omojuwa, what do you think should be the primary focus for an average leader in achieving this objective? What should we do? What are the top, maybe 3 things we need to do in order to ensure that we do not work against change, we are leading organizational change, and we are able to sustain like, what are the 3 major things you'd like us to take away?
Okay, thank you, Prof. Okay, I want to believe that as leaders, we are change agents, and we should ensure that we look out for change before they happen. So we should look out for change before they happen. Like the book I referred to as Our Iceberg is Melting by John Porter. You know, it said that there was a particular guy there, Fred, while others were happily enjoying their family life and everything. There was a particular guy who was always observant, going out to ensure, you know, looking out for the slightest change on their iceberg. So as a leader, you must be, apart from being visionary, you must look out for change and ensure that you make change happen rather than just reacting to change. Then secondly, as leaders, I want us to know that we are on the management, we are C-suite executives. Some of us are C-suite executives. So we need to ensure that any strategy we want to actually put in place for our organization, it must be that which is in line with this with sustainability of our organization. We need to know that we cannot achieve it alone. Any vision we have, we should ensure that we cascade it. It should be cascaded to the least person organization so that we can run with it with one purpose. Then the last thing I would want us to take home is that the planet is ours. The leaders, the management team of any organization should know that you cannot operate in isolation of the environment, irrespective of the technological advancement. So we should ensure that whatever we do on that board, on the management team, is going to be a reflection of what's going to happen in the world and the planet at large. So we should be mindful of this so that we can all be responsible in discharging our duties and our responsibilities as leaders and visionaries. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Mrs. Kuponiyi.
Yes,
There's a question for you here. He says, from Omolara Kanji, now we have the artificial intelligence, which has made us all to be change makers. The question is, how are we ready for the change AI is bringing up to us? Because we must be ready for the big data generation. How can we be ready for the change that AI is imposing on us?
So I think one key thing that has been stressed here is the need to innovate and not wait for change to come to us. I'm very big on disrupting our own operations and disrupting how we work and how we move. So we know that AI is constantly evolving. So as an organization, as leaders, what steps are we taking in our different roles and circles of influence to also stay ahead of AI and equip ourselves for that? Let us remember that artificial intelligence was built by humans like you and I. So it's not as if AI dropped from the heavens. No, AI was built, and AI is constantly evolving based on the information you and I provide to it. So it's a responsibility for the organization to make sure that, number one, they are properly prepared if they had not been prepared earlier. Number two, they innovate and they are now proactive. Train your staff, make sure that you are up to date with what is happening in the world of technology today. Many a times I hear leaders say, oh, AI has come to maybe steal the ideas. No, AI has actually come to help us with a mode of working. AI has the resources to help the organization even change and innovate. So as leaders and as heads of organizations, we must make sure that we, one, are proactive. If it has already caught up with us, that's fine. But we should make sure that we also learn, we train ourselves, and then we develop and innovate our own stance to overcoming this big data generation, like we like to call it. Thank you.
Thank you so much. We would like to ask Mrs. Omojuwa, what's your take on this AI issue?
Okay, on AI, I've always been an advocate of, tech, even in our own organization, Rockshire Microfinance Bank. And I want to believe that AI is a good thing that's just happened, whether we like it or not. Is either we embrace it or we leave it or we run with it and ensure that we evolve with it. AI has helped a lot of commercial banks to actually, be responsible to their customers. Because a lot of banks now, we have the artificial intelligence being leveraged on for, we have, I don't want to promote any bank other than our bank, where you have the female or the male voice that you can actually communicate with in terms of inquiries. You have your prompt response to things and things like that. And the only threat to the banking industry as per AI is as per the cyberspace, and that's a big challenge. We see what is happening even in a lot of big banks in Nigeria, that a lot of fraud has taken place. So we should know that AI is a blessing, and if you're not careful, it can actually be a curse. But I want to believe that we are all visionaries here. So for the cybersecurity, we have been able to, you see that a lot of banks now, we put a double edge security in your transaction. For instance, a particular bank I bank with other than ours, for you to actually do a transfer or things like that, you have to have a double edge security on your stuff. And there are some transactions that you cannot even effect through your ordinary stuff unless it is approved by the stuff, by the management of the bank. So what I want to say is that AI is a blessing, and it all depends on how you take it. So it is as by us actually ensuring that in our respective organization, we begin to look at how we can appropriate the benefits and, put up maybe a kind of, I would say, frame, a security to ensure that it is not taken over or exploited by people who are going to destroy our organization. Well, AI has helped in a lot of space, even in our presentation, even in development of our staff. AI has helped, and we can see that even with AI, we can actually, ensure that some operations are now seamless, more seamless, and the rest. So AI is a welcome development, and I believe that every organization should embrace it.
Thank you. Mrs. Kuponiyi, how can sustainability goals be strategically integrated into organizations' overall vision and objectives?
Okay, thank you very much, Prof. When I hear sustainability goals, the first thing that comes to my mind is impact. So if we rephrase that question, you're asking, so how can our organization create lasting impact? I think I saw the question in the chat box. How can our organization create, impacts that would outlive us? And how can we integrate it into our operations and going concerns? So if we rephrase the question like that, it makes it better. Number one, be a change agent. In many organizations, it has to start top down. Lack of commitment from top leaders most times slows down sustainability goals. Be a change agent. I remember when my organization was drafting out the sustainability plans and goals for the next 2 years, 2025 to 2027. We had change champions. Even till today, we had change champions from directorates to divisions to groups and even in teams. And these change champions, we also had risk champions, we had sustainability champions. We have a whole division on strategy and sustainability that looks at how everything we do, from a business unit to a cost center, how can we make impact on first our customers, secondly, our organization, and thirdly, globally, how can we make impact and how can this impact be sustained? So if it comes from top down and then it's integrated into little teams through your champions, it would definitely integrate into the operations of the business. So think big, but start small and then distribute the impact you want to see. Number one. Number two, you have to build a culture of change. It's one thing to have strategies, and it's one thing to have these amazing sustainability goals and objectives. It's one thing to align what we do in our organization with the ISO set standards. But the truth is that if you do not have a change culture and a culture that promotes impact, it will just be short term. It will not go on for long. You might find out that, oh, maybe when the chief impact officer maybe retires or leaves the organization, then that particular change dies there. So it's very important for us to build a culture of change and a culture of sustainability in our own spheres of influence. Thank you.
Really grateful. Just few sentences on that, Mrs. Omojuwa, and then we close. Please, once we close, let the moderator and speaker please hold on.
Okay.
And let the reflector and the speaker hold on. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you, Esther. You have actually summarized my presentation, and referring to the 8-step change model of John Porter, you will see that there's a definition stage, there's an implementation stage, there's a secure stage. And you said it, you know, when you said that we have to ensure that we have a culture of change in our organization. That is the way we can actually be constantly evolving and relevant in the sphere and the space we operate in. So I want to say we should know that for any organization that is going to actually be like a Fortune 500 or a transgenderal company, you must ensure that it is not built around a particular management. Let the structure be in such a way that it's one that can actually be perpetuated so that we can have a long-lasting organization. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Mrs. Omojuwa, and the wonderful Mrs. Kuponiyi. This combo has synergistically addressed the topic of today in a very beautiful way. And you could see the reactions on the chat room. People are so impressed with this presentation. We are lucky to have you. I want to thank everybody for showing up today. Next week by 9:30 a.m. Tuesday, March 18th, by 9:30, we'll be having another presentation, episode 72nd. Details will be forwarded to you by our office. And please look out onto it in your emails, in your WhatsApp groups, and so on and so forth. We'd like to thank everybody for showing up today. We are closing the curtain on today's episode as we look forward to meeting you next week.